Hello, this is Joe Price from the BYU Record Linking Lab. This is a second video about the tree extending hints. For this one, I'm just going to go much slower, kind of do it step by step to show you how you do it. A lot of these instructions are kind of built on the assumption that you have some experience with FamilySearch, but I'll do it kind of in kind of a slower step-by-step fashion. So this is the volunteer portal that we use, and we're going to be working on task number 1, tree extending hints. So here's a sheet with some instructions, then there's a data, and then there's the other video where I go a little bit faster. But for this one, I'll kind of take it on a step-by-step basis. So I'm going to click on the button right here that says data. So I click on it once, and then this little URL will pop up on the screen right here. And then I click on that URL, and that URL will take me right into a Google spreadsheet. So this is a Google spreadsheet, and you can see right here it says volunteer URL and the result. So if we look down here, you can see there's Joe Price, and then that first one was it worked out, and then this was a case where it wasn't a match, and then with 0.5, it meant I wasn't sure. So let's do an example. I'm just going to then scroll down to a spot where nobody's worked yet. So we just kind of pick an open spot. So here's an open spot right here, and then I'm going to write my name in, and then a little trick in Google is you can kind of pull that corner down and it'll copy your name down. So I'm just going to check out kind of a chunk of people. Now for this URL, I'm going to click on the URL or hover above it, and then I can hit this. And what it's going to do is it will open up the source linker, and now I have to make a decision about whether or not we want to attach this record to the tree. So over here on the right, over here, these are people that are on the tree. Over here on the left are people that are in the record. And we can always hit the little details button to see a little bit more. So this gives us a little bit more clues about whether this is the right person. So this is a tougher one. We've got a first and last name that match. The birth year is off by 1, but that's very common in a census. And then we can see that in 1910, he was living in Magoffin County, Kentucky. And so we can kind of come over here and compare this to some of the other information we have about him. Now, one of the other clues here is we have a mother named Polly A. So that's good that that's matching up. So everything actually here is looking pretty good. And so I feel comfortable about linking this. The only thing that would have made me a little more confident is if I'd seen Magoffin County showing up over here. But in this one, I feel very confident. So I'm going to hit compare. I'm going to hit add. And then I'm going to hit attach. And so we've now attached the record to Frank. Now we're going to do the same thing for his mother. We're going to hit compare, and then we're going to add her birth information and her residence, and then we're going to hit attach. So those were the two people that were already on the tree. So at this point, this was very similar to any record hint where we're attaching a record to someone who's already on the tree. Now what's unique about these record hints is that they always have a new person that we can add to the tree. So here we have Lear Hale, who is the mother of Polly. So this is actually a 3-generation household. And so we can hit add. Now at this point, her name's probably Leah, but we'll leave it as it is right now. Her last name's probably not Hale. We could leave that and then fix it later with a maiden name. But most of the time with mothers, we're going to, actually in this case, I'm going to leave it there just so we have a little bit more to go on to try to for someone that comes in the future. Okay, so now we've added a new person to the tree. So we're going to hit add and attach. Now the nieces and nephews and sometimes grandchildren can be really hard, and so we're just going to leave that where it is because we don't know quite which of Polly's siblings that Hazel is a child of. So at this point we've completed the task, so we come back to our sheet and we just mark a 1 in the result column. Okay, let's try another one. So again, I hover over this URL or click it, and then I click the URL that shows up right above it. And as I'm going, I can always delete these extra windows. Okay, so here we have a case where we have James and Rosa. So let's look at them. So here we have, they were married in Magoffin, Kentucky. So that gives us a lot of assurance that this is the right couple. So you can see we're going to have James and Rosa. And then now we're going to be able to add their 4 kids, and we're also going to be able to add James's parents. So this is a really fantastic tree extending hint that's going to really grow this family out on the tree. So again, the steps are we hit compare, we hit add, we hit attach, we hit compare, we hit add, we hit attach. Now we can start moving through the kids. So then we're going to hit add, and then we hit create new person. And sometimes when we hit create new person, it'll pull up a possible duplicate. And in that case, we'll want to look at that carefully. So here we have another son named Floyd. We hit create new person. Okay, and then let's do Boyd. It's kind of a funny family, Lloyd, Floyd, Boyd. So here's Boyd. Now notice that with Boyd, it pulls up a possible duplicate. And so then we can kind of compare, but you see here we have James Blanton. So the dad matches, the mom's different, not Rosa. And then notice his first name's different. So normally, if this was a good match, we would hit this button here, select. Since this is not a good match, we're going to hit create a new person, and then we hit the create new person button. We hit add, and we hit attach. Okay, we have one more kid. So we hit deceased. Now, since it's born 1908, it's going to ask me for a reason statement. I'm just going to type yes, or I could say born 110 years ago. Now, I might want to go and find a death record just to be sure, but with some of these that are right on the edge of the 110 rule, we can be a lot more confident that they are deceased. So now we've added the 4 kids. The last thing we need to do is add the dad, and then we can hit create new person, and then add, and then attach. Okay. And again, we wouldn't do the hired man because we don't know how he's related to these other people. Okay. So then again, we would put 1. Let's do one more example, and again, I'll just try to go as slow as possible so you can follow the steps. I'm going to kind of hover over this and click the URL. So it's going to open up in SourceLinker. And so now this is a really hard one because all we have to go off of is Della Penix. We don't know, on the tree we don't know if she was born in Kentucky, but the nice clue here is we have that she was married in Magofin, Kentucky. But let's just show you what you could do to be a little more sure about whether this is a good match. So we're going to now click. So what I did is I clicked on Della's name, and then I click on this button that says person, and it's going to open up a new window. So the nice thing is I can still come back to my SourceLinker window, but now I can look at Della Penix's person page. And now what we're hoping is that maybe we could find another record that would help us. So here I just hit record hints over here, and it pulled up these 3 marriage records. Let's see if any of them list her parents' names in the marriage record. So you can look here, and so you see that all 3 of these have a marriage record, but the only relationship it lists is her husband. If we'd been able to find her parents, that would have made it a lot easier to link together. So let's try one other thing to see if we can try to link these records together. And what we're going to do is we're going to click this button right here that says Ancestry. Now you're going to have an Ancestry account to do this, but I find that looking on Ancestry can be a really great way to figure out if these relationships go together. Now when I clicked on that Ancestry button, it's going to pre-populate the search filters with information about my person. Now notice that these first records right here are those marriage records that I was already looking at. So one thing I can do is I can come in here, and then I can click this button that says Find Others Who Are Reaching Della Penix. And so then notice right here, this first Della Penix has her, now let's remember who we were looking at. It was Clay Odit. So here we have a Della Penix. And then the other thing is James and Malvina. Okay, so here we have a James and Malvina, so this could be a good record. Let's see what it tells us. So she was married to someone named Delaney Slusher, but we're not seeing the person we were looking for, which was Clay Odit. So that's a little tricky. So then this makes us a little less sure that we have the right match. And then notice we don't have any other families that kind of include Della. So let's go back and try one other little thing. We can also, back here on the search page, we can hit Edit Search. We can scroll down and hit Family Trees, and then we're going to search. So let's just see if we can have, so we didn't get any family trees that included those 2 people. So in this case, there's some clues pointing to it being a match, others not. So I'm actually, whenever we're not sure, we just put a 0.5, and then we stop right there. But yeah, so thanks for your help with this project, and I hope these instructions are helpful, and feel free to give us any feedback about ways that we could make the instructions even more helpful for you.